Mike Dunn, is simplicity the key to life?
It might be. I think simplicity might be the key to life so long as the understanding's behind it. Right. So simple for the sake of simple is one thing. I think when you get to the root of the issue or the problem or whatever it is that you're seeking to find, usually it's more simple than not. It's not a matter of addition. It's usually a matter of subtraction. But I think you have to be looking for the truth in order to get there.
It's interesting around this time of year, people add things for their New Year's resolution, but they don't take away things.
It's the way of people because it's easy to sell things to add, right? It's very easy. It's not quite attractive to sell things that are going to take away, right? There's not a big business behind that. And so I think everybody is, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do that, when chances are you haven't been managing things well to begin with. So the addition of all those things probably isn't going to be the best idea when it comes to you being able to follow through on whatever it is that you're looking to do.
Yeah, I think a lot of people complain about that they don't have a lot of time, but when you really just focus in on what's important, it feels like you have all the time in the world.
I think if you put a camera, if you get what we should do is if you hired somebody to take a camera and just follow you around for a day, that would be all you needed to see in order to see how much time you really had. Like if you think about the average person and how they spend the time of their day and maybe how much they're on their phone, how much they're doing things, you're right. Like we have way more time than we think that we have. And then there's the cliche, we make time for what's important to us. But we do, right? We do. The people that really want something find a way to make sure that that's the priority.
When you're teaching shooting, it's more about making things simple. Obviously, that's your motto, so it is. But is it ever adding things?
I would say the only time addition comes into play is when we've gone beyond the understanding of what it is to shoot the ball in a consistent way to begin. And then the layers that get added on there will just be the layers of complexity that happen within the flow of the game, right? Situations that you can start to prepare for from a preparation standpoint. So maybe focus turns to preparation more than the shot itself. But in regard to the shot, you're trying to take away as much as possible. There's an amazing quote that says, "True perfection exists not when there's nothing left to be added, but when there's nothing left to be taken away." Right? And so that's where we want to get to with the shot. We should be able to get there fairly quickly if we're actually locked in on really wanting to do it. But then the attention turns to the preparation, and so the addition comes through how we prepare in various situations and off the dribble, off the catch, footwork, all that kind of stuff starts to play a big role.
You know, we both love social media, and it's true in everything, that quote. It's even true in social media when you're making a reel. Like the best reels go so far when you kind of like take everything away that's not needed.
Yeah, for sure. Right. It's like, we're in a cool place now too, where I think when you see overproduced things, it doesn't feel as relatable, maybe, or it just, do you know what I'm saying? There's that you're missing that connection in a way, and so you strip away the lights and the amazing editing and all this kind of stuff, and you're left with just what it is. And I think a lot of people resonate with that.
I feel like such a debate around shooting is form, and we've talked about that before, but some of the greatest shooters that ever lived don't shoot with traditional form. Is there a right and wrong when it comes to shooting?
No. I don't think there is. I don't think there's necessarily a right and wrong. I think the problem that we have is that we're so focused on form, right? This idea of form, and what I believe form to be is going to be very different from what somebody else believes form to be. And then some people say, well, there's the textbook this and that, I think that there's so there's so much more to be discovered if you look beyond form and you look more towards, like, the how is energy being transferred, right? It's really how is energy being created with the body in a way that can be transferred over to the ball. And so when you look at form, it's such a, I don't like even using it because we're all going to look different because we are all different, but the principles between one great shooter to the next shooter are very much so the same. And so you could say, to me, I could say that's form, but it would be very difficult for the majority of people to look at that and say, well, I don't see what you're talking about because you can't point out, can you point out this exact moment in time? And that's not what shooting is. Shooting is just about understanding kind of the physics behind it and then adapting that to the player, to their body type, to their athleticism, and what they're ultimately comfortable with trying to repeat time and time again.
If you look at a shot but made the person invisible, is that a good way to look at shooting? Like what the basketball is actually doing more than what the person is doing?
Yeah, and Rob Fodor talks about that all the time, right?
I actually got to that conclusion talking with Rob all the time, and then I talked about it to him, and he's like, "Yeah, that's exactly it." You know, not to toot my own horn, but that's actually
Yeah,
what
yeah.
happened. Yeah,
No, and it's true. If you just watched the basketball and you watched how the basketball behaved, right, you're going to start to that's more of a key indicator of what's going on, right? How much direction change is present? Is the ball continuing to move vertically before it moves out to the rim? You could see so much there just by looking at the basketball, but that's very hard for people to do. It's very hard for people to just
is it?
eliminate.
Why? Why? Like, cause that's all. Like, what I'm watching this Knicks game poorly because I'm so good. Like, I could podcast and watch a game at the same time. That's how good I am, Mike. But no, but like every time I watch somebody shoot, I literally like make them invisible. You know, it's like,
Because you've come to it. I think part of the reason that it's easy for you too, and just having that brief conversation that you said you talked to Rob, and then it kind of solidified it for you with
yeah,
what you were doing. It's easy for you because you discovered it.
yeah,
Like the understanding that comes with you discovering something versus somebody telling you to do it is two completely different worlds, right? So
yeah.
that's one of those things where your understanding that is probably so deep that because you discovered it on your own, you decided to go down that road versus if you just tell somebody, "Hey man, watch the ball." They can hear it, but that doesn't mean they're actually taking in the information and integrating it into what they see.
That's the reason why there's no shortcuts to anything. You kind of always got to figure it out on your own.
That's man, it's the it's everything. Like you can't expect somebody to figure it out for you. I think people can put you on the path, right? But ultimately, you're going to have to figure out what does this really mean, right? And what does it mean for me? And when you can do that, now who knows where you take it? But you have to be willing to look inside of you for the answers versus always looking towards somebody else.
I don't know if we're going in circles, but I do see players that the ball is doing some funky stuff and shots are going down. Like Josh Hart is a good example to me. I know you're working with NBA guys, so I don't know if you want to talk about NBA guys specifically, but he goes through phases where he's shooting it really well, where he's not. But the ball's doing some funky stuff if you watch it, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, listen, confidence goes a real long way too, right? You
Yeah.
just having confidence with some people, that's enough, right? Um, we what I tell players is you have to be really careful about looking to what somebody else is doing and saying, yeah, but they're doing it, right? And it goes back to the path thing. Like you if you walk somebody else's path long enough, you're going to get too far off of your own, right? You're not going to shoot just like him. He's not going to shoot just like you.
That's
What
that's
works for
Se-
him.
that's Seneca or Epictetus. He talks about like getting off the boat, and the older you are, you have to get back even quicker.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not even familiar, but
Yeah,
but that's exactly like
yeah, yeah,
so you know I still think if you look at what somebody like Josh does, and I don't watch Josh shoot a whole lot, admittedly, but I would assume that within reason, certain things are present there that make sense, and then certain things are probably present there that don't make a ton of sense that maybe speak to the inconsistencies at times, right? Versus like maybe hitting real hot streaks, but then maybe not being there as much, right? And that's human nature too. But it'd be interesting to see. I just don't watch Josh shoot enough.
What are your thoughts are on reps versus game situation when it comes to becoming a better shooter?
Say that again.
What are your thoughts on reps versus game situation when it comes to becoming a better shooter?
Like when you're saying reps, are you saying just
Well, it could
time?
be anything. You could rep out spot up shots. You could rep out hezzy pull ups. You could rep out step backs. You could rep out side steps.
So you're saying all of that as compared to maybe putting defensive type pressure out there and doing.
1 on 1, 2 on 2, 3 on 3, playing
Yeah,
your sport.
yeah. I don't think you have to. I don't think you can look at it and say this is superior to the other. I think that they're both very much needed
Yeah, I
depending
agree.
on what it is that you're trying to do in that moment. Um, I think that all training leads to the same places. I think when you champion one thing versus the other, you leave out the possibility of breakthroughs by ignoring that other side. right? And so you have to be able to look at it in terms of what the player needs, how the player is going to respond, and then implement that way. But I think to say, look, this is the best thing and this is not, I think it's short-sighted because you can start with a very rep heavy type scenario with certain players and maybe they're trying to really understand and feel what you're trying to do and then you're going to graduate to more in-game scenarios afterward, right? And I think that's, to me, that's kind of a natural progression within things. So I don't put them one against the other in which is one is superior. I think it's just what does the player need at that point in time, and then you go from there.
Yeah, I think it depends on the player, especially like let's say if you're an NBA All-Star and you're playing a whole bunch of games throughout the course of the season. I don't know how much game situation you need outside your actual games, but if you're a high school kid that's constantly drilling and you freeze up in games, you might want to play your sport.
Well, I kind of have a separate view on the freezing up thing. I don't think the freezing up thing is actually even a matter of drilling or going through game situations within the confines of training, because what's happening there when you're freezing up, it's not that you don't have access to that. It's not that you can't do what you do in the trainings. It's that you don't have access to it in the game. And so I think what happens there is that a lot of players have this underlying anxiety that they're afraid to admit often, where their want to succeed is immediately followed by this desire to not fail, and the desire to not fail grows that even bigger than what they want to succeed in. And within the practice confines, whether you put somebody in just air reps or then you put somebody in game situation reps, right? That anxiety still isn't present. It's not there, right? And so you have to evaluate what's causing that more so than even probably what your training is. Because if the mental side of it isn't there for a player, it doesn't matter what you do within the training side of things. Like if you're going to have that anxiousness going into a game, you're never going to be able to overcome it, just because that anxiousness is going to cause you not to be able to kind of access the superpowers that you've been working on.
But I think that anxiousness also causes players not to play against people and want to drill because it's easier and it kind of makes you feel good to hit shots in an open gym too, you know?
So yeah, for sure. So I think we're talking about two separate things there. I'm still talking about the drilling of game reps in a training environment, right?
Right.
Versus you saying, I think maybe, well, what it sounds like you're saying is you going and you playing pickup or getting into
Yeah.
games
Playing your sport.
okay, yeah, that's to me, yeah, I think that's a great thing to do. I still don't think, I still think that the overall anxiousness that comes within the actual game when the clock's on and all that kind of stuff is a different animal for a lot of players though.
Don't you think playing your sport more could alleviate that anxiousness? Like if you're hooping every single day against maybe not so good competition, maybe great competition, a little bit of both, playing 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, don't you think that alleviates a little bit of the anxiousness with the confidence you'll build?
I think it can to a degree, but it's almost like this idea that hard work gives you the answer to the test, and that's not necessarily the truth to me. Just because you're repeatedly doing,
Experiences can though, right? Like playing against different people, going different places.
yeah, I think that again, I think that can all contribute to it. I'm just saying, I think at the end of the day, if you are super anxious within those confines of a game, you really can't replicate that, right? So I think you have to kind of address, again, you have to address what is really causing that anxiousness, and get to the root of that problem, just like you get to the root of a shooting problem, figuring out what's the one big thing that's causing all my issues, and then addressing it and going from there.
Is anxiousness a problem that you see with a lot of
Yeah,
kids?
for
All the
sure.
way, and do you see it all the way up to the NBA level?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? Because I mean, I think it'd be, we watch these NBA games, and then, I mean, you've had and I know that you've had probably the experience of now knowing guys in the NBA and being around them. And some guys are in situations where every shot they hold the weight of the world on their shoulders because it's going to determine the length of their time on the floor that night, right?
Yeah, I
And
guess that's every level in a lot of ways, or a lot of levels. Yeah.
right. And then
Yeah.
could you imagine at the NBA level where your contract's on the line and you're wondering if you're going to get the next one, but if you get two threes and you don't make one of them tonight, now everybody's looking at you like, oh man, he can't shoot. And it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
really and so you know what I'm saying? It's like that's a lot. And I think the average person watching the game doesn't understand that until you're in it and you're with that player and you're trying to you're trying to work through it and trying to put your best foot forward with every time you're on the floor.
Who's the greatest NBA shooter not named Steph Curry?
I I don't I mean I love Clay overall. I think Clay I think what he does, I was watching highlights of him recently. And he's so incredible with things that he does. Like his ability to balance in certain situations and create the most stillness out of it is incredible to me. And a lot of players don't do that. It's not a common thing. And so, man, I don't know if after Steph, it'd be hard to find one better than Clay that did it at the level that he did it too in the big games that you know what I'm saying? It
Yeah,
wasn't,
of
he
course.
was incredible. Yeah, I'd say
Yeah.
Clay.
And you don't like the word form too much, but like if you think about him versus Steph's shot, he has more of the textbook form than Steph does.
Yeah, and it's interesting to think about but they're two different body types, right? And I've been exploring with this idea of this shorter stretch versus a longer stretch. And I think that Clay, with kind of how he's built and the levers that he has, the natural levers and length of his arms and everything, that it makes sense as why he shoots the way he does. Whereas when you look at Steph, it kind of makes sense on why he would shoot the way he does, right? And why he's kind of evolved into what he is. But yeah, I think traditionally, if somebody's teaching it, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, Clay. Like look at Clay." But I think Steph actually does amazing things just in a shorter window, and so it looks fairly different. But also, he's forced to take shots that nobody else has to take,
Ye-
and so it's different too.
If we looked at the path of the ball with those two, would it be similar?
Well, I think it would be different in that Steph's won't slow down.
Yeah,
So
I
you're
agree.
gonna the path will be kind of similar, but when the ball is released is different. And so with Steph, he's so reliant on the tempo of the shot. And so the tempo for him is he's creating a ton of energy as that ball immediately starts to move and then gets transferred to the basket. Whereas Clay was more of create the energy up in the vertical, use leverage, and then the ball gets out to the rim, right? And so you're looking at two different things there. I think the path, I would say Steph probably has a more connected path, but
Yeah,
that's going to be the case with a shorter shot with more tempo versus somebody that uses leverage like a Paul George type or somebody like that, right? I think
yeah.
that's somebody else you could look to that's kind of similar, but not quite.
When Rob says pass it to the basket, that's really what Steph does.
That's what Steph does. That's what he
Yeah,
does better than anybody, right? And
yeah.
that's it's a hard. I think it's a hard thing to grasp initially, especially if you've done one thing
I
for
think sometimes people don't want to let go. Like,
for
right? They
sure.
want to hold on to the basketball. They want control. But
Yeah,
Steph just is like,
yeah.
you know
You
what I
want to
mean?
hold on to it, and plus, if you're if you want to go down that path, I think a lot of people are way more comfortable in just staying in what they know versus trying to experiment and go to something different that may cause a little growing pains there to start.
It's interesting. I asked Max Hooper, who's now, a mutual friend of ours, who's now a
Yes.
G League head coach. Shouts to Max, man. Congrats to
Yeah.
him. But I asked him who's the greatest shooter he ever played or coached, and it was Clay. It was Clay.
Yeah. I mean that makes sense. And coming from Max, I mean Max is one of the best shooters I've ever seen.
Hundred
I
percent.
mean, absolutely incredible shooter. Um, so I mean, he knows. Yeah, that's. I'm glad he said Clay. That makes me feel
He
good.
did shoot a 2-pointer one year in college.
No, no,
That's legendary. That's
no.
legendary.
And he was incredible. I think it's so cool that he's doing what he's doing now as well. And I think he's very much tailored for being a head coach. The way that he presents himself, the way that he sees the game, how much he loves the game, like all that kind of stuff. It'll be cool to see where he ends up. I think you never know. This is just the beginning for him.
I think I know where he's going to end up, but I don't want to
Yeah,
say it out loud.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
want to
yeah.
say
Yeah. I
it
don't want to say it
out.
either, but yeah, I think that's the goal, hopefully, for him.
Yeah, most definitely. Simplicity, Mike. That's it. That's all I need from you, man. That's it. Where can we find you on social media and everywhere else?
Social media: see Mike Dunn on Instagram, and see Mike Dunn on TikTok. I think see Mike Dunn on YouTube.
Oh
Um,
yeah. YouTube, man.
You can find. Although I think I'm going to start posting more longer form videos on YouTube in a way that I have so many full workouts that I record that I'm going to just chop them up and put them in their entirety on there. So I'll start doing that.
I'm looking forward to watching it, man.
Appreciate you, brother.
Get you and talk soon, bro.
Yeah, man. Thank you.